Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Let's take a look at some altcoins today, and it's pretty quiet out there. Not a lot of things that I like, which the silver lining on that is always going to be the trend metrics are in the process of flipping from bullish to neutral, potentially resetting. The next best entry is going to be with bullish Kumo breakout. I covered what that looks like yesterday. So things don't need to go to zero, but I don't see anything here that's super encouraging other than near BNB, Pepe, and Bonk. I don't know why these four, but those are the best looking charts. If I see charts that look actionable, I'm happy to discuss them and take those trades, but broadly not much in altcoin land at the moment. So I'll talk about indices at the beginning here: Bitcoin, high caps, meme coins, AI coins, then some miscellaneous stuff. At the end, if you ever want me to talk about a coin or a chart, just let me know in the comments. You can also come visit me Thursdays at 2 p.m. EST, where I stream every week. And like I said, mostly bearish for alts. You still got regulatory risk, you've got tight liquidity, and the best setups right now are inverted head and shoulders shaped BNB, maybe more ascending triangle, but I'll go over that when I get to it. As far as dominance, Bitcoin dominance, everybody's favorite question. Weekly dominance, still bullish. We're post-halving. It's going to take a while if we do see an alt season, but this is not alt season. Alt season is not Bitcoin strength continuously. And yeah, one alt here or there can have a great day, great week, but broadly, that's just not the place to be based on dominance. And we can see that a different way using the alt BTC index, total 2 divided by BTC. It's basically just inverse dominance. And again, this is below the cloud. This is not alt season until we're above the 3-day cloud. So I fully expect this to take us into Q4. And again, you've got to like game theory this out. Biden versus Trump, Gensler versus no Gensler, more stimmies versus less stimmies, more taxes versus less taxes, more regulatory stuff versus less. I don't know, right? You can go down the list. I think potentially for crypto, there's a pretty dramatic difference in the candidates, potentially, as far as what we may see in the next 4 years. And I think, at least on the election day, assuming we have finality on who's the next president, that may have an impact in altcoin land and ETH land, but not really until then. Maybe if the polls are leaning one way or the other. But this just, there's no edge here on the bullish side at all. This continues to look bearish, ranging, chop, down, expect lower lows. There's just nothing there. Even when we go to the total 2 chart, broadly, across the board, most everything is in the daily cloud right now. So you had a great run from October to April, and everybody is still chomping at the bit, looking for the next best alt trade. You just got to give it time. You got to give it time. Almost a 3x from the bottom in terms of market cap in 6 months. That's going to need some time to reset. It's going to need some time to find some new buyers, to find some more stable coins, find some more liquidity, anything, right? It's just hard to keep prices up for this long for most coins. So almost every chart, you're going to see the same thing. And based on trend, you're just waiting for price back above the cloud at the very least. Watch for the bullish TK cross. So this, more than anything, just telling you it's just not time yet for alts to do well broadly. Looking at the US liquidity index, Fed balance sheet minus TGA, Treasury General Account minus reverse repo, you can see how in lockstep we were since 2021 on total 2 in the blue there. And I would argue this has gotten pretty out of whack on total 2, right? And I'm guessing total 2 is going to come to liquidity, rather liquidity to total 2. And yes, I know somebody in the comments is going to let me know that liquidity is expanding globally. That may help altcoins down the road. I don't know. I'm just looking at one metric, and this does not look favorable in the moment for liquidity relative to market cap. And the technicals agree. The technicals suggest downside over upside, bearish chop over bullish chop. Okay, that's the expected outcome here across the board on every chart. That includes Bitcoin, which is certainly more neutral than most of these alts. I say this a lot, but if you get this right, if you get this trend right on Bitcoin, you'll get the altcoin stuff right, most likely. So this to me is neutral, in the cloud, shopping around. Really no great bullish signal here at all. You want to see price above a bear cloud, you want to see a bullish TK recross, you've got none of that here. Okay, this could literally do nothing until July. We could just go from 55 to 63 for months and be totally fine. So until that range breaks one way or the other, I just don't think it's time to mess around with alts right now. There is a potential inverted head and shoulders here on low time frames for Bitcoin. You've got moving averages to consider. There's a 1050 cross that's still bearish. You've got this pitchfork to consider. We could easily, if we make lower lows, squirrel around down here. Certainly don't want to be alts at that time, in alts at that time. Alts will do bearish things. If we cross below this midpoint, alts will be down 20 to 50%. Easy. Good news is for Bitcoin, you've got bottom of the daily cloud down there. You've got 20-week moving average, 200-day moving average. I don't think we see 34K this year. I just don't. But that's another level. If all this fails and for some reason there's a black swan, right, that's where we're going. We're going to the 200-week moving average. I don't think you can quantify that on probabilities. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't, but I'm not expecting it. The first step is, will this save itself as an inverted head and shoulders in the range? That's step one. That may take another 2 weeks. So sit tight summer. Like I said, here's the 8-hour cloud. At a bare minimum, you want to be above the 8-hour cloud. That may happen over the next week, right? This stuff takes time. Lots of time. ETF flows have been less than stellar. Let's put it that way. So alts, it's just not the place right now broadly to be looking for alt trades. It doesn't make sense. Nevertheless, with those encouraging words, we will look at many of the alt charts and I will make the case for what to look for on these charts. Before I do, let me talk about today's video sponsor, Kraken Pro. Kraken Pro is a complete overhaul of the Kraken trading experience with one-stop shop for advanced and professional traders. Kraken Pro enables efficient trading execution across multiple markets with a UI that allows for unique optimization tailored to your trading style. You can check out Kraken Pro with the link in the description of this video. On investment advice, crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to US and US territory customers by Payward Ventures Inc., PVI, DBA, Kraken. And once you're in Kraken Pro, you can always favorite your most prized altcoins. Look at the list here and see what's down on any given day. Some of this stuff sort of hanging out at highs, but many coins, layer ones, meme coins, doesn't really matter the sector. Many coins have this just rangy chop suggestive of bearish reversal. So you really don't want to be holding whiff if this breaks down, for example, because you're likely headed to sub $1. Okay. It's just the downside for alts is always going to be very, very dramatic. So I've said what I've said. I've spoken my piece. Let's look at some charts. ETH on the weekly cloud. Look, I'm not expecting ETH to go back to 2K, but I am saying there is a path. There is a potential for ETH to go to 2K. It would basically represent a bearish edge to edge on the weekly. Not something we've seen historically. I don't think ever on anything, but I'm not going to rule it out. If you start to make lows on the weekly here below the yearly pivot, 2K is in the cards, on the table, whatever you want to think of that as. It is an option. If the regulatory stuff gets even more bearish, if the ETF doesn't happen, which it probably won't, right? There's a path, potentially. Maybe it doesn't live there forever. Maybe you just get a wick to 2K. But there's a path. There's definitely a path where you just grind this out. I don't think there's any read here necessarily, but it does look like the bulls are sort of done fighting with all these wicks, and it just looks like a slow grind down, unfortunately. Daily cloud doesn't help you. Bearish TK cross a while back, and there's just no bullish anything about this, right? You're below the cloud, you're soon to be bearish Kumo twist, bearish TK cross, you've got a low time frame head and shoulders here. It's just, you've got an inverted cup and handle. None of this is bullish for ETH here, unfortunately. So I don't hate 2K. 2,400 makes maybe a little bit more sense, but perfectly reasonable. And again, the silver lining is let all of the trend metrics flip bearish. That is a better trade. As a trader, what do I care if this flips bullish or bearish? I'm not sitting in this. I'm not denominated in this. As a trader, I want to see easy layup 360 no scope trades, right? I want to see a bullish Kumo breakout above a bearish cloud. That'll happen probably June, July, if then at the earliest. The latest I would expect this would be Q4, but there's just nothing here screaming bullishness. 12 hour, again, maybe you can see that head and shoulders a little bit better, but there's nothing bullish about this at all. ETH BTC, more of the same. It's just failed to hold on to highs, making continuous lower lows. Hasn't been above the 3-day cloud since 2022. There's just nothing bullish about this. It's losing all of the ultra high time frame supports. I like something in 04, 03, 043, whatever. Something lower than this. It just doesn't make sense that it stops here. Certainly looks continuously bearish. Solana looks a little bit better than ETH in the cloud versus below the cloud, perhaps forming an inverted head and shoulders, much like BTC. But again, you're waiting on cloud signals here. Pretty straightforward. Just no trade at the moment, and you can just watch the 8-hour, right? If we break above the 8-hour cloud, you're probably above the daily cloud, and it's just not ready yet. Probably needs another week to make a decision on that. Sol BTC has a little bit of a potential head and shoulders setup up here. None of this stuff on these charts in the moment is actionable, right? It's just, what do we think we see potentially coming up? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Does that want to inform the decision to cut or add or ignore or reduce or whatever, right? So when I see this, I'm certainly not encouraged at bullish continuation just yet. You're going to get a bearish TK cross here on the 3-day pretty soon. You've had some great top and bottom patterns playing out. So it's just not the time, right? To me, it just doesn't look super bullish for Sol BTC here. BNB, one of the few charts, for whatever reason, I think BNB usually does better in bearish periods or ranging periods for Bitcoin, but call this an ascending triangle, call this some sort of complex inverted head and shoulders. As long as I can hold this range and hold these lows as support, I like an eventual, we're talking like, look at this calendar, May to June. This could just grind you out into June, right? So I wouldn't want to be margin long here on any of this because it could take a very long time. BNB BTC on the 3-day, trying to poke out of the cloud, certainly doesn't look bearish. It's not making lower lows. I don't know about entries here specifically, but the USD chart certainly looks favorable for bullish continuation at some point. This is near. Near again has this complex inverted head and shoulders setup. As a breakout trader, I like anything in this red area as a buy. Stop losses at any lower low on whatever the current right shoulder is. We might get 3 more right shoulders, 4 more right shoulders. I don't know. But if this does break out, which means likely that Bitcoin survived and it's formed that inverted head and shoulders, then I like 10 to 12. But again, that's not going to happen anytime super soon, probably. Here's near BTC, bit of a rising wedge, bit of a maybe inverted head and shoulders on lower time frames. Just nothing super clear, clean cut. Then you've got the charts that don't look like BNB and near, stuff like Link. We are getting this potential mega head and shoulders setup. And for me, again, when I see this, it's not like, oh, let me add Link here. I think it's at a low. I think it's going to hold this level. I think this is a double bottom. No, I mean, this could be a low time frame descending triangle. This needs to get back above the cloud. Otherwise, I just don't care. This could easily go back to the breakout between 8 to 10. And then on the BTC pair, this could be another like 6 months to a year in this range before something happens. So it's just not screaming anything here. There's just nothing there. AVAX, very much the same. This might save itself here at the right shoulder. It might continue. There's no signal here on the long side at all yet. And on the BTC side, also below the 3-day cloud. So it's not like it's crushing BTC either. Doge, as we get into the meme coins here, same setup, right? It's range bound chop that is suggestive of bearish reversal. That's about as far as I would take it. To me, it looks pretty close to a head and shoulders, and I just don't want to touch this. I just don't care, right? It's got to be above the cloud with bullish signals on trend. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing. Doge BTC on the 3-day, very much the same. You can even see the head and shoulders potential there. It's just not quite ready. If I dial this back to 2021, post Bitcoin halving, right? It takes time for the alt rotation to kick in. We're just not there yet. So I do like closer to the end of the year for alts to do better on all these charts. Pepe looks better than Doge to me. Again, this looks like NIR. This looks like BNB potentially on the USD side with the complex IHS. And on the BTC side, it doesn't look half bad either. This could pattern out as an inverted head and shoulders. It could pattern out as an M double top. I don't know. I think it's too early to really tell. I would just watch the USD pair, but there's no great signal on the BTC pair at the moment. Bonk, same thing, right? These look okay. These could lead to bullish continuation. You play that how you will. Either you're nibbling every day, assuming that you're going to see a breakout. You can just be optimistic about it, or you can just wait till we are back to the neckline here. It's up to you. Do a little bit of both. I don't know. But it's probably not going to move anytime super soon above that neckline. And Bonk BTC, maybe the first recorded Bonk BTC chart in the history of trading. You have to make this custom on TradingView. It's just, it's in a range, right? Maybe again, inverted head and shoulders optimistically, but not really much trend signal there. As far as the AI stuff goes, render, it looks okay. You know, again, there's not like any screaming signal here. It's not a bullish Kuma breakout per se. It's not a TK recross yet. It's got this diagonal head and shoulders possibility, and the BTC chart has been pretty choppy, but it's been bullish chop. So this is certainly less bearish than most everything else I've discussed, but to me, it's just not good enough to say jump out of short-term yields, right? You know, I need something that looks pretty good. I need a pitch right down the middle of the plate to be certain this just doesn't look good enough for me. FET, same thing. Range bound in the cloud, just not time yet. Against BTC, to me, it sort of hit the target on whatever I was measuring here. But it, a lot of these coins are just up so much so quickly. They need time. They need time to find new buyers after the sellers are coming in. Ocean, USD pair, just range chop, not great. Ocean BTC, maybe an eventual mega inverted head and shoulders into 2025. One question to ask, to think about with these three coins is, how's that merger going to work if it actually goes through into some super AI coin that's been talked about? I don't know, we'll see. But in the moment, none of these look compelling on USD or BTC charts. Onto some miscellaneous stuff here real quick. ARB, very strong distribution vibes all the way down to the breakout. This to me does not look like it's going to save itself here. And against BTC, it looks tragically awful. So you've lost a considerable amount of purchasing power against BTC. You don't quite have a bull div here, even on high time frames yet. And I think what you're seeing there is just the differential in coin unlocks or coin emissions when ETH is already struggling to do well. So ETH beta shouldn't do well, right? ETH beta should do worse than ETH. And that's what you're seeing here on the chart. So if ETH can turn around, yeah, ETH beta, Lido, ARB, Optimism, all those should probably do pretty good. If you're bearish ETH, you probably shouldn't be bullish ETH beta, you know? So maybe you think I'm completely off base on the bearish ETH setups, and that's fine. But your directionality for ETH should match your predictions for ETH L2 and ETH betas. VLO, these are just some random call outs in the comments. This has been bearish since March below the cloud there on 4 hour, bearish against BTC. One thing you can do with these is just measure the channel and just wait until the channel breaks, but these certainly don't look bullish here at all. RSR, again, just there's just a shoulder after shoulder going on here. It's just not for me, right? I can't get bullish on something like this until this pattern breaks down or we're back above trend metrics. Against BTC, it does not look happy either. EWT on the 3-day cloud looks maybe ready soon. It doesn't look horrible, to be clear. I'd argue it looks better than most of this stuff I've looked at. Against BTC, it's still very much in a downtrend, but USD pairs on trend look okay. You know, again, you've got some sort of like inverted head and shoulders vibes there. I'd probably do a little research on this to figure out what it is before touching it, but it doesn't look horrible. And then lastly, Wojak, I guess this belonged in the meme category, but again, there's just nothing here. Trend is bearish. There's no pattern that can save this. BTC side is also rangy and not super happy. So across the board, just not much going on. Near probably one of the best. I expect ETH to break down. Sol looks slightly better. That should probably outperform ETH in the near term, but ultimately it comes down to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin breaks 60K to the downside, expect just apocalyptic mayhem for the altcoin scene. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.